Hey Oilers fans, welcome into this week's Coaches Show. I'm Zack, joined alongside as always by Luke Hamilton and Oilers head coach Rob Murray. Obviously we are here in the off season right now. We have a few player signings announced, a couple of guys that we can't announce quite yet, but still with that, the process this summer, we talked about it a little bit on last show, a little bit different with the college kids going back with the fifth year, and we were kind of talking a little bit earlier, it just kind of seems maybe a bit different this offseason than years past, and how many teams have guys signed and which teams have which guys kind of signed right now.
Yeah, we get an update from the league every Tuesday of everybody's rosters, and I was going through it yesterday, and there's a certain amount of anxiety as in the summertime, thinking that every morning I wake up, I think, am I behind the curve here, right? And but for the most part, we're right along in line with the majority of the teams, and for that reason, back to what we talked about on the first show a couple weeks ago, it's been slow. It really is, and the player pool is very shallow. We talked about the fifth-year seniors and even guys coming out of Canadian Junior. It's been a little bit different and a little bit slower and slower in the sense that I'm not getting answers. It's like, look, I'll let you know, and it seems like it's a week by week. I'm reaching back out to certain guys, and I need a couple more days, or I need another week to make a decision. So when it's all said and done, it'll get done. I mean, we're going to have a team on the ice. It's just like I said, you get a little bit tight and a little anxiety with it every summer, and it never changes. I try to tell myself at the beginning of every summer, since I've been coaching at this level, to relax. It'll take care of itself when it's all said and done. And yet, I always find myself at this point of the summer worried, but we're going to get some good support from San Diego. There's a couple guys that they've signed. They signed Vincent Marleau, and they signed Charlie Sampere to American League contracts. So those are the guys that, let's hope that they have a good shot of making the San Diego Gulls. Yet they would be names that would be on our list at this point. And supposedly, when everything's said and done, we should get Roman Durney back. Who obviously was an excellent goaltender for us last year, which wouldn't again be on our list as of right now. So I think every team is kind of like that, and but the teams that went dark last year tend to have more guys signed, and we talked about it about an hour ago, where they had, let's say this time last summer, they didn't know whether they were going to play or not, right? So they had a whole team or close to it signed. Well, that just transferred over to this season or this summer, and so a lot of those teams, like a Reading has a very full roster right now, but basically I think it was just the majority of guys that they had signed to go to play for them last season at this time, and that's just kind of a cut and paste type thing almost. So like I said, it'll get done. It's slow going at this point.
But yeah, just to dive into, especially a lot of the college players that are looking at their fifth year, is it more of a difficult decision for them right now just because of the plethora of options they have, or do you think it's just difficult right now to make a decision in general? Just with kind of the uniqueness of trying to get your normal development in college, having that halted, and now saying, hey, am I ready for the pro level? Am I making a quick jump here?
Well, I gotta believe that any senior last year was looking at, I'm going to have a good senior year, and I mean, if he had aspirations to play pro at any level, then I'll be able to go pro, and this will be my year, 2021 or 21-22, sorry. And but then given the option to go back and having a interrupted year, as you said, not so much interrupted, but a shortened schedule. They didn't get the games in that they needed to, and I think stats reflect that too. When you look around at the college guys, it seemed to be a wide open. A lot of guys put up a lot of points in a few amount of games. So I think that a lot of guys, it's a temptation to go back for that fifth year, right. And there aren't too many guys that have come out flat out to me at least and said, you know what, I've got no interest in going back. I want to weigh my options at this point, and I'm still thinking about it. And that gets back to what I said, where the answer that I get tends to get kicked down the road a little bit, and it's not, I don't get an answer kind of when I want it.
And with you, you took the junior route instead of the college route coming through. But with guys having the option, I guess, to go back that extra year, do you think maybe it is the better option for some players, while maybe making the jump to pro for maybe another guy might be the right option right off the hop, and kind of the similar situation for junior guys, if there's an opportunity to go back to another year of juniors, should there be some guys that take that opportunity and some guys that jump straight to pro?
Well, I mean, when I played junior, I believe we had 2 overage spots at the time, and quite honestly, it was a stigma. I mean, if you played overage, you were done. You know what I mean? Like, you might have went to Canadian college, and Canadian college was not what it is
right back then.
Yeah, that it is today. So everybody was eager to turn pro, one way or another, coming out of once you were 20-year-old and junior. So my path was such that that was what I had my sights set on. Thinking back, I don't think I ever had that conversation about playing overage. I believe my overage rights after my 3rd year in Peterborough got traded to Sudbury, which was just I don't even know what kind of deal it was, but I remember my coach telling me years later, he goes, kind of laughing at me. We're out golfing one day, he goes, hey, I traded your rights, and I'm like, well, there was no chance I was coming back. So I got to believe it. Outside of just being impatient to get your pro career going, there's got to be that mindset also that it'll be there when I'm done. You know what I mean? I can do this for one more year, play junior or college, and pro will always be there. It doesn't mean that I won't play pro. It's just going to put it off another year. So yeah, the whole COVID year is throwing so many things out of whack. Scheduling, this whole recruitment process. It's just that it's just different, and hopefully it all gets back to normal sooner than later. Yet, we're living in it right now with the fact that it's the standards that have been set by the NCAA, and I think I'm not alone in this as far as our league goes, with these guys having trouble to make that decision whether they want to play pro now or wait another year.
Yeah, and I think the urgency, of course, doesn't really change regardless of the patience maybe being a little bit more necessary this year. We're looking across just the Mountain Division with how much talent's leaving, and that's just the nature of the beast in this league, of course. But you've got Beauregard and Wichita, a fantastic season. You've got 2 of the top scorers in Rapid City leaving, in Quenneville and Coulter, and just from that perspective, having to replace talent like that constantly, I can't see necessarily coaching staffs wanting to change any identity with their team, but does that just add to the urgency in general, just to get guys back, Lancaster and Allen as well? Just the Mountain Division is going to look a lot different as far as the top scorers in that division.
Yeah, I mean it's the nature of the beast. I mean, it happens every year. I mean, you get guys. I mean, Beauregard was signed. He was signed like halfway through the season to a European continent. Like, I mean, Wichita knew they weren't getting them back. Guys that Coulter and Quenneville. I mean, we've talked about it before on Coach's Show. I mean, the money in Europe is so much better, and when you kind of run your course at the ECHL level and you realize, well, my dream of playing in the American League or playing in the NHL, it's not there anymore. It's time to make some money, and the rigors of a schedule over there is it's so much less. They only play 40+ games. It's only Friday, Saturday nights. They get a 2-week break at Christmas. I mean, it's a leisure type of league or leagues in Europe, and that being said, they can make twice, if not more than what they make here. Apartment. A lot of guys get a car to drive. The deals over there. I don't begrudge these guys for doing it, quite honestly. Other than the love of the game. And I think that's where you see a lot of guys that just stay in North America because that's what they want to do. They want to play pro hockey and they want to play at the North American level and just love the game and just stick around here. So there's always that urge to go overseas. I mean, right now with our team from last season, you've got Matt Lane signed in Nottingham, Justin Monix signed back in Coventry, J.C. Broussard signed in Nottingham, Jeff Carr, who our fans are familiar with, he signed with Nottingham also. Like, there's a lot of guys that are the upper end, and I'll put Matt Lane into that category. That we were kind of lucky that, well, nobody was lucky for the COVID year, yet those players wouldn't have been available to us. Harmonic was supposed to go back to the British League. Matt Lane was signed in, I believe it was an Austrian team. Now he's gone to the British League. So you know, like last year was kind of a little bit, even I'll use your example of Coulter and Quenneville. Like they potentially might have had a deal over in Europe last year, but those leagues closed down, so they didn't have an option other than to play in the ECHL again. So now that has opened back up, and you know, a lot of guys are taking that option. And like I said, I don't begrudge them. I mean, the money's a lot better, and it's not as taxing on your body.
Exactly.
We've announced since the last coaches show 2 public signings. You know, a rookie in Jack Dormus coming out of the University of Denver, and then you got Jordan Ernst, who's played in this league before. You've played a game in the AHL, was on a contract with the Calgary Flames in the past. You know, what is it that fans can expect from each one? What is it that you think that they really excel at?
Well, I think with Jordan, I liked him when he was in Kansas City. Like his stats don't reflect what I thought I saw. Mm-hmm. You know, like I thought he was a hardworking, effective player. I don't foresee him being a 20-goal scorer. You know, like, but you got to fill your team with guys that bring different aspects to the game. And I believe that, you know, he's the type of guy that can fit in well, and he skates well. I mean, he played in the Southern Professional League last year, but yet, you know, 2 years ago he was under contract with Calgary coming out of Canadian Junior, and you know, had really good years in the Canadian Junior. So try to recapture that in his game, and he's very excited to come. You know, he was basically, actually, I was working at a camp in Denver earlier in the summer with Zack Desjardins, and one of the guys I met there that was also coaching at the camp, you know, put me on to him and said, hey, here's a buddy of mine, he's looking to get back in the ECHL. And he took a step back, but, you know, just more out of the love of the game, just wanted to keep playing. So, as I said, I liked his game when he was in Kansas City. Stats don't necessarily jump out at you you know, in any way, yet he's going to play a solid game for us. Jack Dormus is a kid, played 4 years at the University of Denver, which is an excellent program. D1. I talked to the assistant coach there, Dallas Ferguson, who used to coach up at University of Fairbanks, that I got to know when I was in Anchorage, and really spoke highly of him. And a big kid, shoots the puck really well, can skate. You know, brings a lot of different, you know, kind of variables to the game. Now, he's another guy that you can look at his stats and it's not going to jump out at you, but there's a pedigree there too, where you've got his experience of playing D1 at a very strong school. His brothers played. He has a twin brother that played, I believe, at the university also. Now, I don't think went on to play pro. He's got an older brother that did play pro. His dad played at the University of Denver. So he's got a real hockey background. Mm-hmm. So that to me is a little intriguing. I like that because he's grown up in that hockey atmosphere and he knows what it takes. And but you don't have to look any further than a Charlie Saint-Pierre. And you know, I'm not saying that a Jack Dormus is going to be a Charlie Saint-Pierre yet. Charlie had 5 goals in 4 years at his college career, and went on 3 years ago, to score 30 goals here for us. So you never know, and I think he's got the tools to be a guy that can produce and play a strong game. And for a big guy, I've watched some tape on him, and he skates very well. And that's huge. I mean, you get guys that are not able to get around the ice, but can shoot the puck really well. well, chances are you're not going to get a chance to shoot the puck really well because you're not getting into the spots that you need to be, or guys are closing on you too quick. So I think he brings the elements that he can add to the offensive side of it, but also, you know, he's moved from center to wing, different places that within the lineup that is also intriguing to me, that he's versatile that way, that he can play multiple positions. So looking for good things. He's really excited. Very well spoken kid. It was enjoyed talking to him on the phone and working this out with him.
Yeah, and as we get to this point, you know, coming up on mid-August, you know, after these signings, getting a chance to reevaluate the needs, you know, of the roster that you're looking at. Is there anything in particular right now that you feel is a need that needs to be filled right now? Is there maybe a specialty that you're looking at in the next signing? Is there maybe a role player or just a style of game that you think would fit best with the identity that you're looking at right now?
Right now we need defensemen. Any kind of defenseman.
Right.
You know, it's a situation where I think you put it well. Like, you know, you reassess what now do you need? You know, and what category do we need? Do we need guys that can kill penalties? Do we need guys that can play the power play? Do we need a tough guy? You know, do we need another skilled player? I think earlier in the year or early in the summer when you're recruiting, you're just recruiting in bulk. Right. You know what I mean? You're just not grabbing players. That's the wrong way to put it. But you're just getting a roster in place. And then you eventually, as you said, you get a little bit more specific. You know, you start looking where, okay, I've got this bulk of players. What am I missing within this group? And, you know, a lot of times when I'm doing recruiting calls, I get the question, you know, well, what are you looking for? You know, and I find that with, during the season where there's certain times when we're on an emailing list, all the coaches, and, you know, Monday morning you'll open up your email and it'll say, you know, Rapid City's looking for a right-handed offensive defenseman. You know, that's specific. Like, right. This is what we need, you know. But when I talk to guys in the summertime, my theory, my angle at it is, I just want the best players available, and we'll figure it out from there. And you come in, whether you're a right winger and you need to play left wing, or if you're, you know, a defenseman that has been known to be a defensive defenseman, yet you got a bomb of a shot, maybe we can work you in on the power play. You know, so there's tweaks you can do within the lineup that you actually have, but there are specifics that even myself, I look for. Yet, end of the day, I want the best hockey players, and I feel we can make that, you know, make those guys fit into as a group all in one.
We talked about it too with having, you know, right-handed defenseman and left-handed defenseman. A lot of coaches like to, you know, kind of have 3 and 3, 3 righties, 3 lefties, and pair them up that way. Have you found this summer that you know, just finding defensemen in general across the board has maybe been a little more difficult? You know, you mentioned even just from our team, you know, J.C. Broussard and Justin Hamnick going back overseas. You know, a couple guys, you know, probably not returning either. And in that, you look at it with the defensemen. Did more of them happen to go over to Europe, do you think, or is it just one of those things where the pool might seem a little more shallow?
Yeah, well, and regardless of this season and everything that we've talked about, there is a dominance of left-handed shooters now in hockey, like just hockey in general. Yeah. It's not a 50-50 split, and to find, it's actually hard sometimes to find a right-handed defenseman. It seems. It doesn't seem possible, yet that's how it is. Like, you know, you talk, you know, which way does he shoot? Left, left, left. Like, there's such a predominance of left-handed shooting hockey players that it's weird. And maybe I didn't. And I look back on my hockey career, like as I was when I was a player. I don't think I paid attention to which way guys shot. You know what I mean? Like, you just played. I mean, right. You know, put on the gear and went out and played. As a centerman, I did. I obviously knew the guys I was going up against, lefty or righty, on face-offs, or if they threw right or left in a fight, and that was key. Yeah. You had to know whether you threw right or left. But overall, it just seems like there's so many more left-handed shooting hockey players, and so maybe to answer your question, it's harder to find a right-handed, even a right winger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're not as available as a left winger, and a right defenseman is not nearly as available as a left defenseman. For that reason, I think that defensemen growing up and playing youth hockey and going to college and maybe playing junior or wherever, or however their path brings them to the pro level, they've all probably played, as a left defenseman, they've played the right side.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of that when you're talking to players, you know, can you play the right, oh yeah, I can play the right side. I played all year last year on the right side. And that is because of, again, the need for a coach that has 5 lefties and a righty. Well, 2 other lefties have to play on the right side, and you got to figure that out. Like, there was multiple times this year where we had guys playing their offside, not too often, because we were actually very
Right.
well balanced. It was a pleasure to have that this season, or this past season. So you never know. You never know how that's all going to shake out. But right-handed defenseman, I remember talking to Brad Rolfe right around the trade deadline in Florida, and he was desperate for a right-handed defenseman. He had 6 left-handed defensemen. He did not even have a right-handed defenseman. So it's not even positional-wise. It's you know, when in general, like when you put all the different portions of the hockey game into place, like you need a right-handed defenseman up top on the power play. Like, you know, if you're playing it off the one side, you got to have a righty up top. Well, you know, maybe you don't have that option, and you got to go with a lefty. Well, that throws off the rhythm of a power play because of just the way the angles that passes are made and one-timers are taken and different things. So there is a theory behind it that kind of goes deeper into the makeup of a game, and so it is always nicer and better, to lack of a better word, to have 3 and 3, but a lot of times you don't.
Right, it's somebody especially that had a big impact on the power play last year was when Garrett Cockrell was in the lineup, and also another defenseman just in general that made such a big impact here in Tulsa in the short amount of time he was here was Curtis Leonard, and that was a great pickup. And just having a conversation with him, you know, as he was going out the door at the end of the season, you know, making his decision to retire, just, you know, what was it like having him here? And I think he's going to be somebody that everybody's going to miss on the ice for sure. Just all around versatile player.
Yeah, when he got a real job, that was a shot to the heart. Like that was not a good conversation earlier in the summertime,
right.
Because I honestly fell in love with this kid. He was like, as a hockey player, he was a genuine person, a genuine man. Like he was a man. That was the like, you know, he is 27, I believe. You know, he's been around a bit, but he brought that presence, and he played hard every night, and you know, I think he brought a lot more than maybe he had done in his career to this point. Like, you know, his offensive abilities were not nearly as poor as maybe they were made out to be from previous teams, to coaches that I talked to. You know, yeah, he could run the, you know, maybe he could be on the second power play, but we saw, like, he was really effective on the power play.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times with players in general, you just give them the opportunity that maybe you're pigeonholed into being this kind of player. You let them expand a little bit, and maybe they can do more than what they're just expected to do. But defensively, he was heavy. He was a physical player. I don't know what he ended up 3 or 4 fights where that was kind of uncharacteristic of him. He's not a fighter, but he got into a bunch of fights with us, and which was nice to see. I mean, that was his passion, right? Like, he showed that he cared, and you know, I leaned on him real early. Like, once he got here, I brought him in a few times in my office because he was new, and to kind of gauge the temperature of the room at times. I'm like, you know, I bring him in and Lenny, I know you've only been here for 2 weeks, but what are you seeing so far? Like what can you tell me that I need to, that maybe I'm missing, that can help me be a better coach? And he was great. Like I said, it killed me when he called me. He got he got some kind of job. Stupid job. But good for him. I mean, you know, he's getting back to what we talked about, pay scale. I mean, you're not making a living playing in the ECHL. He's got a college degree. He got a good job. He's 27, 28 now. Like, Yeah, you know what? Maybe it is, Lenny. Maybe it is time to step out and make some real money and get on with your life. Yet he was the limited time we had him here, and I know you guys liked him too. Like he was everything I wanted in that trade, and it couldn't have been better.
You talk about, you know, feeling the temperature of the room and having guys come into the room, and when we kind of talked about right-handed players being harder to find, but Alex Crom, a guy that's coming back this year, obviously had Adam Plesketch as well, another righty that's good for the room. When you're building a roster during maybe the off-season, is there a way to really gauge how a player will be in the room? Obviously you won't know until they're there in there, but you know, when you're talking to a coach, you know, maybe do you ask how they interact with the other guys around, out, you know, away from the ice?
Definitely. I mean, and it's one of the things that I do stress in my recruiting calls, and kind of try to get a feel for a player also just in my conversations with them. But you know, coaches tend to be pretty honest, and they should be. I mean, you're asking questions that are important to well, not only their credibility too. I mean, you know, you can oversell somebody to me, and then the next time I'm going to call you about somebody, I'm going to realize that you're not telling me the truth. So, and it doesn't happen very often, and most guys are really honest, and that particular question does come up in my conversations with them, is what's he like in the room? What's he like off the ice? Like, is there, you know, I hate to say it, well, but it's the truth. Like, is he booze? Is he, you know, is he partier? Is he, you know, what kind of guy is he?
Right.
And you know, those type of guys, those things, you can't say it ends the sale of a player. Yet you might have a little caution with you know, whether, again, player A, player B, and they're equal talent. Yet this kid is loves the hockey. He's you know, the terminology comes up a lot. He's a rink rat, meaning he's always at the rink. He's either working out. He's always first guy in the dressing room. That's what you want to hear. You know, what's disappointing, like I said, is the credibility. Is once you get that guy on your team, and he is not that first guy in the room. He's not in the gym all the time. You're sitting there going, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, you told me this is what I'm getting. So it's a lot of wait and see with any player, really. But if you're getting an established player, also a guy that's been in the ECHL on different teams or a team, and you know, there's always an avenue to kind of check around with the players that he played with that you might know, and you know, have confidence. I can call a guy in confidence and say, hey, tell me about Joe Blow. You know, is he as bad as everybody says he is, or is he this guy that everybody's making him out to be? So that, you know, you know, you've got a little bit of artillery in your gun that you're no, you don't put artillery in a gun. You put ammunition in a gun. So you know, you have to do that. You have to do your due diligence in order to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for.
It's sort of just to sort of close out, you know, what fans are recognizing too here upcoming 70 years of Tulsa Oilers hockey, in just, of course, my short time here. I used to grow up going to the games. I've got family that lives here. I've had Tulsa Oilers memories my whole life, and now being at the forefront of it, even yourself, the time that you've been here. Just talk a little bit about this organization in general and what it's meant to you in your growth as a coach and just the growth of the community.
Well, it's remarkable, really. 70 years. I mean, it's a real milestone. I mean, you just don't find that.
No.
Not at the minor league level, and that's a real credit to both the city, the fan base, you know, just the people that make the whole team go. And you know, I love my time here. I enjoy it here. It's, you know, the 100-degree weather is a little tough to bear with at times. Yet, you know, there's a lot of things to offer, and you know, that goes in my recruiting process too. You know, you got to sell the city, and it's not because when you're, unfortunately, sometimes that's where you lose or gain a player. You know, like if you're going up against a guy that's also, because we're all chasing the same players. The majority of those teams are all chasing the same players. So there's got to be that tipping point where, you know, would you rather play? I'm gonna use Brampton as an example because they're not in the league anymore. I can kind of do that. But would you rather play in Brampton, Ontario, where the price of living is extravagant, or play in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where summers are longer and the spring comes earlier? You know, like little things like that. You like to golf, like, you know, there's outside of the game things that can sell you on recruitment.
There's just a big drive right now just for warm weather franchises and climates at
exactly,
every,
yeah.
at every level.
And so, you know, if I had my choice when I was playing, and you know, if at the time I was in, and I loved, again, Springfield, Massachusetts, you know, I love my time there and everything, but I mean, that's a cold weather climate, you know, like if it was up to me, if I was in Springfield, Massachusetts or Orlando, Florida, you know where I was going, right? But I didn't have that choice at the time, but that's those little things, is the little intricacies of the recruitment, and I think that we're doing a better and better job here to allow ourselves to be that destination point of a hockey player. I mean, you don't have to look any further than the BOK. And I'll tell you exactly what I say to guys. I say, it's an NHL rink. And it's amazing that it's here, but it's here, right? And we take advantage of it, and the facilities are as good as you're going to get. I haven't been to every rink in the ECHL, but I'm telling you right now, the ones I've been to, BOK is number one. And so that goes a long way too. And so that's, you want to sell, we talk about pedigree. I mean, 70 years of hockey, I mean, that's pedigree. And there's a lot of history in this organization, the building, the fans. I mean, it's a great place to play. And that's kind of, I got to get the word out at times out there that this is the thing. And I think you mentioned Alex Crom. Like, Cromer is a great spokesman for our team because he loves it here, and you know, he's been around. I mean, he's been at different spots in this league, and this is to him his favorite spot. So there's something to be said about that.
Well, thank you as always for taking the time to do this, and we'll catch up with you as the off season goes on with the roster update.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.